Kieran, Sky News can reveal the economic support package to be unveiled by the Prime Minister will be significantly bigger than the $17.6 billion announced last week, and a large component involves the government working with the banks to give a small business billions in loans to attempt to keep businesses afloat and staff employed. As one government source put it to me, the package will be about building a bridge to get to the other side of this crisis. Now, the government will attempt to get everyone they can on that bridge in terms of their jobs. And if they don't make it, I can't put it any other way, the government will create a safety net to catch them. I guess that could be cash payments, rent assistance, maybe a temporarily higher rate of welfare payments, but there are plans in place for protections for people who've lost their jobs. And look, we're seeing thousands of jobs going every day in Australia. That's the reassurance I can give our viewers in terms of what government sources are telling me about what they plan to announce in coming days. To be honest, Kieran, the sooner the PM can further flag these moves, the better to keep people in work, because small to medium-sized businesses in the hospitality and airline industries and others are making these layoff decisions every single day at the moment. As for the health crisis, the government knows it cannot stop the virus spreading through the community, but it is attempting to squash the virus, to slow the virus, to take the strain off our hospital system with the measures that it has introduced on indoor gatherings and shutting the borders, etc. Now, the federal government has been in extensive talks with the banks, I understand, about giving small to medium-sized businesses enough cash to allow them to retain staff and keep their businesses afloat until this crisis is over. You could argue, like in other countries where tens of billions in loans have been paid to businesses, that the government should do it itself and not rely on cooperating with the banks. But one of the advantages of cooperating with the banks is, just as the first payment programs announced last week involved existing payment programs to distribute money quickly to small business and welfare recipients, the banks have existing loans out to businesses and can most easily get the money straight out to them. So the loans could be income contingent, not to be paid back until such time as the businesses can afford them. They could be low interest or interest-free loans. Everything's on the table as the Expenditure Review Committee of Cabinet works out these measures in the tens of billions. It might be 3 or 4 days before they're announced.
And Andrew, it's coming full circle from the GFC, when it was the government coming to the rescue of the banks, providing a guarantee on deposit holdings and debt, banks' debt at the time. Now the bank's been called upon to step up as part of that package. But as Andrew just reported there, significantly bigger is the way that the government is putting it in terms of this second package. Andrew, I want to show our viewers some of the spending that's going on internationally, then I'll come back to you for your thoughts on it. But if you look across the world, the size of the responses that we're seeing, the United States, as you can see, the largest in dollar terms, Australian dollars. This is the German, 1 trillion, the British as well, a huge package of 700 billion. The French, the Spanish, and then Australia at 21 billion. You can see there, Andrew, that this was not going to be sufficient. It was pretty clear to the Prime Minister within days of the first package being announced just a week ago. It feels like an eternity, but it was only 7 days ago, Andrew.
That's right. And look, you know, there's caveats to those figures. For example, Britain's doing £350 billion, but 330 billion of that, as I understand it from reports, are loans. The US 1 trillion, 700 billion of that, I think, is in terms of market sort of measures, buying bonds. Who knows if the Australian government's going to get into that sort of thing. Certainly Scott Morrison's talking this afternoon after an expected interest rate cut. So they're not all straight to households or businesses or whatever, but we can see the size of them, and you can see why people are saying we need 50, 80 or 100 billion from the government. Let's see. The reason it's taking a few days, it's been put to me, is that they want to get the detail right, Kieran. It does seem an eternity ago. As you said, that the government announced a package involving 25,000 in cash payments for businesses, small and medium, under certain conditions, and business tax incentives. Looked generous at the time. By Monday, it was apparent it wasn't generous enough, that the economy was in a lot more trouble than that. The Prime Minister's spoken about a gear change after the banning of outdoor public gatherings on Friday. He called in Treasurer Josh Frydenberg and Finance Minister Matthias Cormann then. The world is moving. It seems the government's going to follow. And Matthias Cormann talked about this phenomenon in his interview with you yesterday, Kieran. I thought we should have another listen to that, where he spoke about the fact that thousands of people are losing their jobs through no fault of their own. The government obviously understanding that situation where it's no one's fault here and they need support. Let's have a listen.
To the extent that we will be able to match up people who lose their job as a result of the coronavirus with employers who have experienced and are experiencing peaks in demand for labour, that would obviously be the first priority. There will be a limit to that, obviously, and the key is going to be, and what we're working on at the moment is to ensure that we can provide the appropriate level of income support to those Australians who over a temporary period as a result of no fault of their own, because of the impact of the coronavirus, will be losing their job.